Protect your privacy online with the best VPN for gaming, ExpressVPN, and visit expressvpn.com/GhillieMaster, linked in the description, to find out how you can get 3 months free. We received 10 brand new vehicles on day 1 of the Los Santos Tuners update, but there are going to be 7 more releasing over the coming weeks, and in this video I'm going to give you guys an overview of all 7 of those cars, going through some of the customization options, some gameplay of the cars, and then I'll give a summary of how the car feels to drive. So how I'm going to do this is I'm first going to briefly go through the customization of the car, then I'll take the car around a little street circuit where you guys can hear and see the car in action without me talking over it, and then once that's over I'll come back and give you my opinions on it and how it handles. To start out, let's go over the Comet S2. This car is going to be the first one that's going to be releasing this week. There are a couple of different builds you can do for this car. You guys will notice a trend with the way I customize cars though. For the most part, I like how the cars look as they are without all the wild parts you can put on them. You can turn this car into a rally car if you really wanted to by adding the fog lights on it, along with some of the roof options. By default, it has an active spoiler that goes up and down with how fast you're going. There's also this really big spoiler you can put on it that just looks really ridiculous in my opinion. I opted for a smaller spoiler on it. What's also cool is that when you tint the windows, it actually tints the headlights too. So if you put it to limo, the headlight glass will be blacked out as well pretty much. I decided to go for a black color with some chrome rims because who doesn't like a black Porsche? Now let's go ahead and take it for a drive.
Hey, I got other customers, you know.
This car really does sound great. You can tell it still has that original sound of the Comet mixed in there, but it's also much deeper and it's got some other sounds on top of it. You can even hear it kind of whine when it's driving, which is really awesome. It's reasonably fast with alright handling too. If I had to pick a car that it closely resembles in terms of handling, I would say it's kind of like the Jester RR. And the good thing is you only have to wait a few more days to get this car because it comes out this week. Up next, we have the Ubermock Cipher. This is the car that I'm looking forward to in terms of its looks, just because it has the most wanted BMW livery, so I of course had to do a replica. Unfortunately, it's not exactly the M3 GTR, but it's all we have at the moment until we get the Sultan Classic sometime. I gotta say, out of all the cars, this one has some of the more tame customization options. There's not a lot of wacky things you can do to it, which for me is fine because like I said, I typically customize my cars to be very simple anyways. You have your typical bumper options, you could change the grille, add spoilers. Pretty much the stuff you'd expect on any sports car.
Hey, I got other customers, you know.
The driving on this car is definitely similar to the Calico. It has quite a bit of understeer to it. Not as much as the Calico, but enough for you to definitely notice it. It grips the road pretty well. The only concern I had was it kind of felt slow. I hope that's not the case because if so, it's going to get smoked in these races, but that's just the feeling I got from driving it. Here we have another Porsche. This is the Pfister Growler, another amazing looking car. Just like the Comet S2, you can make a rally build with the fog lights on the front of it. It's got a few bumper options, not too many. You can add a lip spoiler in addition to the regular spoiler. There's a roof box you can put on this car, as well as a light bar, and the cool thing about the light bar is that it actually works when you use the headlights. I decided not to put a livery on mine, but the liveries available did look nice for it. I went with a black and yellow style while keeping the stock rims just because I think the stock rims look really awesome. The Growler has really good acceleration. I wouldn't say it's like the Salico, but it gets going fairly quick. It's even faster than the S2 Comet in that aspect. Other than that, it feels very similar to the Comet S2's handling. Maybe the Growler has a bit more grip to it, but for the most part, it feels very similar to the S2. The S2 definitely sounds better though. Now this is the one that I know a lot of people are looking forward to, the Dominator ASP. The first Dominator GTT that we got on release day didn't disappoint, and this one definitely doesn't disappoint either. It looks very similar to its real-life counterpart, and you can make this thing look really clean. Surprisingly, there's a lot of customization to the engine of the vehicle on top of everything else you can do to the exterior. There's bumpers, hood options, fender options to make them stick out a bit more, which I don't really like the look of personally. There's a total of 15 liveries to choose from on this car. They even threw in the Nuts on Night Pizza Boy livery, which is kind of strange considering that's supposed to be on like a Skyline. I put on a more traditional black stripe with a red paint job. Whenever I think about this car, I always visualize a red paint job on it for some reason, so that's why I went with it. And then of course some black rims to match, and the rims I chose look pretty much identical to the ones that are stock on the vehicle. I have to tell you guys, this car feels amazing to drive. It's in the muscle car class, but it doesn't really handle like a muscle car at all. Like, you know, when you drive a muscle car in this game, not only do they have a lot of wheel spin when you accelerate, but when you take a turn, you have to be very careful because they oversteer very easily. That's not really the case with this car. You can take turns at relatively high speeds, and it almost handles more like a sports car. I'm going to take a guess and say that this is going to be the fastest muscle car around a track. It's very quick, and it might even be the fastest in a straight line too. We'll have to see when it comes out. Moving on, this is the Emperor Vector. If I remember right, the last Emperor vehicle we got was the ETR1 like 4 years ago or something. I might be wrong about that though, but even if I am, we don't get new Emperor vehicles very often. So just like the other vehicles, you have your usual upgrades to the bumpers, the hood. It's got some nice fender options. Normally I don't mess with changing the fenders, but this one I actually did go for because it looked good. The one really neat thing about this car is that it has a really nice looking interior. You can see in the seats there's a V stitched into the seat. It's just very detailed. Really all the car models in this update are a lot more detailed than usual. They did a really nice job with the cars. This vehicle has some nice liveries. My personal favorite is the one with the yellow stripes all over it, so I decided to make mine like a matte gray color with the yellow stripes. And then I put some new track rims on there with the yellow wording for the outline to match. The first thing I noticed when driving this car is just how grippy it was. The handling is very good on it. It might even be the best handling car in the update, even better than the Jester RR's handling around corners. It's also got some alright speed and acceleration. I just don't really have any negative things to say about this car's performance, to be honest with you. It's just really nice to drive. I guess if I had to say one thing, the engine sound is basically just the jugulars. It's not really anything new, although the exhaust does sound cool when it pops. So we have the regular Sultan, the Sultan RS, the Sultan Classic. Here is the Sultan RS Classic. Basically, it's just a two-door version of the Sultan Classic. However, it looks a bit wider near the fenders, and the taillights look a little different too. As far as customization, it's mostly the same stuff from the original Sultan Classic. The only thing that's really different are the liveries. There's a few more on the Sultan RS Classic that I don't think are on the original Sultan Classic. I tried to make mine look like the Lancer from Too Fast Too Furious with the yellow paint job and like the bluish livery. I know it's not exactly the same car, but you can make it look relatively close, especially with some of the new track rims.
Hey, I got other customers, you know.
The best way to describe how this car drives is just take the Sultan Classic and make it a tad bit quicker. That's literally what it feels like. It's got the same handling and grip that the Sultan Classic has, but it just feels a tad bit quicker in the process. I think for the new street races, it'll perform really well. And now moving on to the last Dripfeed car, and these are in no particular order, by the way. This isn't going to be the last car that comes out, I don't think. It's just the way I'm doing the video. But this is the Previen. It's got a good amount of customization from bumpers to exhaust to its fenders, hood options. The liveries are very nice on this car. There's a lot of good looking ones. I put on the Stance Andreas Drift Team livery and then went for a red paint job to get that red and white pattern going. The stock rims on this car can be painted, and since they look amazing as is, I just kept them on but painted them white to match the car. Although this car looks really nice when customized, performance-wise, unfortunately, I think it's going to be one of the more worst ones, at least in terms of the tuner cars. If I had to take a guess, I would say it's maybe on par with the Remus. It kind of has similar handling to that. What's really cool though is that the Previen is in the Coupes class, and I can't remember the last time we actually got a new car in the Coupe class. We rarely ever get new additions to this class, so it might be one of the better cars for Coupe class racing, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, those are all 7 of your Dripfeed cars in the Los Santos Tuners update. Let me know which car you guys are excited for in the comments. For me, it's gotta be either the Growler, the Comet S2, or the Cipher. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, feel free to leave a like, as well as subscribe to my channel for more Los Santos Tuners content. Huge thank you to all my channel members for your support. If you'd like to become a member for some exclusive perks, you can either use the join button or the link that's down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching, and have a great day.